Okay, so for this video, I'm going to talk about 4 movies that were released this past month, including Bombshell, Little Women, Richard Jewell, and Uncut Gems. And so let's start off with Bombshell. Bombshell is directed by Jay Roach, and it's written by Charles Randolph, and it stars a lot of people, primarily Charlize Theron, Nicole Kidman, Margot Robbie, John Lithgow, and it's about 3 different women who deal with the uh, sexual harassment charges at Fox News. They are all targets of affection from Roger Ailes, played by John Lithgow, and each woman has their own story in this movie. Charlize Theron plays Megyn Kelly, Nicole Kidman plays Gretchen Carlson, and Margot Robbie plays essentially a bunch of women who were kind of combined into one character. And I was kind of interested in this movie only because the cast sounded really interesting. I think it's very rare to see a movie with Charlize Theron and Nicole Kidman in it, and Margot Robbie in it at the same time, and I'll get to that. But overall, I think this movie is, I think it's pretty good for the most part. Not perfect, but it's good. I think it's a very well acted movie. Everyone's really good in the movie, particularly Charlize Theron and Nicole Kidman. They play characters who are not really all that sympathetic in the media, but they kind of both just want to be heard, and they don't really care about what you think of them. Margot Robbie's also really good in the movie, as she just wants to, move ahead with her career. She wants to be a voice, but she kind of realizes that there's a price to pay for that, unfortunately. As for the supporting actors besides those 3, John Lithgow is very good in this movie. He's very creepy as Roger Ailes, and I honestly couldn't recognize him underneath that makeup. Whoever did the makeup, they deserve awards for it. Also, Kate McKinnon also really does a good job here. This is probably the best I've seen her in a movie. And she does really provide a lot of insight into, Fox News and how the world works to Margot Robbie's character. I thought she was really good as well. I also really like how it presents itself mostly. How it's kind of it's like each story. Like Charlize Theron has her own story, Nicole Kidman has her own story, Margot Robbie has her own story, and for the most part, they really don't intersect until various points, starting from the middle onward. And I kind of like that. I thought that was very interesting, as well. Also, I kind of really liked how it really handled the subject matter. You hear a lot. It's done with subtlety. I think I will say that. It's pretty much everything you've heard about situations like this, but it's kind of done in a subtle way, and I think that's going to be the topic of this. That's going to be the main theme of this video, subtlety. It's all 4 of these films are subtle in the way they handle things. So, and Bombshell handles it with subtlety, and it's we don't care if you agree, we just want you to hear us. And I think that's kind of what this movie is about. If you we don't care if you believe us, we just care if you hear us. And I think the only real issue I have with this movie is the setup. Because at the beginning, Charlize Theron is breaking the fourth wall. She's talking to talking to you, obviously, talking to me, and saying, "Hey, Fox News is probably the biggest news corporation, and the 4 biggest news corporations are in one building." And they never break the fourth wall again after that one scene. So it's just odd to have Charlize Theron break the fourth wall, and no one else really breaks the fourth wall at all. They don't really address the audience at any point. It's at least The Big Short had characters break the wall throughout, so that worked. And also, last year's Vice, for instance, that movie was kind of all over the place, but it still worked overall. So, overall, Bombshell is a very fascinating movie. It's a very well-acted movie. It's a movie that should be seen by people, but I don't know if it's, the best-made movie of the year, but, overall, I would still say it's worth seeing. Bombshell, I'll give 3 out of 4 stars. See it. Alright, next up we have Little Women, written and directed by Greta Gerwig, who previously directed Lady Bird, a movie I really liked from a couple years ago, so I was kind of excited for this. The cast sounded really interesting, and the story follows, the 4 March sisters as they go about their lives after the Civil War, and this is one of the many adaptations of the story. I've never actually seen an adaptation of Little Women, so this is my first one. And like I said, the cast sounded very interesting. You had Saoirse Ronan, Emma Watson, Laura Dern, Meryl Streep, Bob Odenkirk is, for some reason, they had called Saul. And this was a pretty good movie overall. The acting is really great across the board, particularly from Saoirse Ronan. She's really good. Florence Pugh's really good in this movie. This is her year, first with Fighting with My Family, and then with Midsummer, and now here she's really good. I can't wait to see her, in Black Widow next year. Pretty much every actor is really good in this movie, including, Timothy Chalamet. He's really good here. Meryl Streep's really good despite her brief role in the movie. Emma Watson's pretty good here, and Eliza Scanlon, who plays the other March sister, she's really good here as well. Also, the cinematography is really done. It really looks like it's a moment in history. It's really well captured. The score is very beautiful. Overall, I would have to say the only main issue I have with this movie is this movie's 135 minutes long, and it kind of feels that way. Like, it kind of just feels like it's just taking forever to kind of just, end. Because, like, they have really good setups throughout the entire movie, and I feel like it just drags on at various points in the movie. Overall, Little Women is a nice follow-up for Gerwig's career. It's a great movie that everyone was involved in. And other than, like, pacing issues, it's definitely worth a watch. I would give Little Women 3 out of 4 stars. See it. Alright, so, next movie up is Richard Jewell, directed by Clint Eastwood. And it's the true story of how Richard Jewell was this, security guard at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, and he discovered a bomb, and he helped save lives, but he was criticized, he was believed to be the actual perpetrator of the attack, and basically the movie is all about that. The film stars Paul Walter Hauser as Richard Jewell. It also stars various people including Sam Rockwell, Olivia Wilde, John Hamm, Kathy Bates. And I don't know, I was really looking forward to this movie because a lot of Clint Eastwood movies in the past few years have not really been that great. Occasionally he has a really good movie, like $1 Million Baby, that's a really good movie. I felt mixed about American Sniper as a whole. Felt mixed about The Mule overall, so... And this one might be one of his best in a while. The acting is incredible across the board, particularly from Paul Walter Hauser, who plays Richard Jewell. He's this guy who's just... He clearly wants to help. He's, wants to be a police officer and all that. And, like, you can tell that he's kind of not mentally right in his head throughout the entire movie. You can tell that even though he may not be the smartest person in the room, he just wants to help no matter what. And you can tell that even though he's not really perceived as smart, he is incredibly smart. Like, at one point, he just lashes out at Sam Rockwell's character, and he's like, I know they're against me. And he's like, I know they're against me, and don't you think I'm angry too? And he's really good in the movie. Kathy Bates is also really good in this movie too, as Jewel's mother. Overall, the acting is really good, and basically, it shows everyone who has a passion for what they do. Hauser plays Jewell, who just wants to help people. Bates is, his mother, who just wants to care for her son. Rockwell is a lawyer who just wants to see truth and justice done. John Hamm wants to get, he also wants to get the truth out, right? And Wilde also just wants to get the next scooped. And I know that's a lot of controversy with how her character is portrayed in the movie. I won't go into that. But that's one of my main issues. I didn't really care for Olivia Wilde's character. I felt her character for a while was just out of place with the rest of the movie. It wasn't until the very end where at one point she discovers, oh man, he didn't actually do it. What did I do? And then, one more scene she has afterwards where she's crying at a press conference that Kathy Bates is holding. Well, technically Sam Rockwell is holding, but Kathy Bates is just crying during. Also, this movie, it's very subtle in the way it handles the various subject matters. That was kind of one of the things I was worried about, that this movie was not going to be subtle at all, because if you know Clint Eastwood, I was worried it wasn't going to be subtle. But surprisingly, it is. And, it kind of shows that, people are just going to believe anything. People, even with facts are presented, people are still not going to believe it. And I think, honestly, I just think this is probably one of the bigger surprises this year. I didn't even know this movie was coming out. And this might be one of his, like I said, it's one of his better movies in recent years. And it's mostly thanks to the incredible cast involved in this movie. So in the end, I will give Richard Jewell 3.5 out of 4 stars. See it. Alright, the last movie is the best movie in this video, Uncut Gems. Written and directed by the Safdie brothers. It stars Adam Sandler, who is he owns a jewelry store, and then basically he has a gambling addiction. So whenever he scores something really high, he has to go bigger. He has to go to the next highest level as possible. Eventually, he gets a rare gem that he believes is worth millions, and he thinks that will be his biggest score yet. And things get more and more complicated as the movie goes on. And this was one I was really interested in a while. I actually saw Good Time a few days before seeing Uncut Gems. And I didn't love Good Time overall, but I was like, that was very well acted. I will admit that. And it kind of lost me in the middle, but then it brought me back at the end. But this movie is an intense ride from beginning to end in the best possible way. Adam Sandler, he's really great in this movie. One of the best performances of the year, honestly. He is very charismatic despite doing some obviously horrible things throughout this entire movie. Like, I don't want to go into detail, but just when you think he can't go any lower, he does. And you're like, no, don't do this, man. Don't do this. Cinematography is great throughout the entire movie. The way that the gem looks, I think that also really helped how the film looks overall. I thought that was really interesting. The score is great overall. Other performances, even though they're not as big as Sandler's or as great as Sandler's, they're really good in the very small roles. Like Julia Fox, who plays an employee of Sandler's character, she's really great. Kevin Garnett plays himself. He's really good in his brief role. Lakeith Stanfield's in this movie briefly. He's good. Idina Menzel. She was in Frozen, and now she's here, and that feels weird. Oh well. She's really good with her brief role, too. And like I said, it's just an anxiety-filled movie from beginning to end. And you can never really guess what happens until the very end. Just when you think you do have a guess, it's like, no, we're going the opposite direction, and it does it in the best way possible. So, overall, Uncut Gems is an insane, intense movie from beginning to end. I will give it my highest rating. I will give it 4 out of 4 stars. See it. Definitely see it. So, what has been your favorite movie of 2019? No, how about this? And I think, actually, no, backtrack. And I think, what all these movies kind of did well that some movies don't, is they're all subtly done, for the most part. And I feel like, again, I kind of go back to Black Christmas and how unsubtle that movie was. This movie showed, yes, you can do subtlety in movies, right? You can do controversial issues and, do it right. And that's great. I'm really happy about that. So, I guess my question to you, I will throw it out there. What has been your favorite movie of 2019? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat, and take care.